Welcome to the Do Zone, where we talk with real entrepreneurs doing real work who share their best tips, tricks, and stories about getting things done. I'm your host, Josh Thomas. Tag me at JT Literally and show me how you get things done. Every week, I'll pick the best post to feature across all my social networks. This podcast is brought to you by Factor One. If you're already at six figures in your business and looking to hit seven this year, there are three key shifts you need to make right now in order for it to be possible. Go to imfactor1.com now, and I'll not only share what those three key shifts are, but also how you can get them set up for your business in less than 6 minutes. Once again, that's imfactor1.com. Today's guest is Dr. Mark Slater. Dr. Slater has been a chiropractor for 25 years with a focus on personal injury. Mark has bought, sold, and worked in different personal injury offices as a chiropractor, and also served as a VP of sales and marketing for one of the largest spinal surgeons in the Southeast. He now has his own company where he helps chiropractors and physicians across the country market and grow their personal injury practice. Mark, welcome to the Do Zone. Tell me something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Sure. Well, I'll give you two. You heard the saying that knowledge is power. Well, that's kind of half right. Knowledge plus action is real power. So to get things done, massive action and consistency to grow anything, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a chiropractic office, a marketing agency, all of those entities need those two ingredients, massive action and consistency. No one's coming to save you. No one's dropping business in your lap. You got to take daily massive action.
No one is coming to save you, that's for sure. And there's so many of us who, when we're starting this journey, we think it's going to be easy. We run into some roadblocks and we stop. And we're waiting for somebody to come along and say, hey, I anoint you. I give you permission. You may proceed. But that person's not coming, right?
That person is not coming. So I work with these physicians and chiropractors. No one's going to come in there and, like you said, Josh, anoint them an expert. They're already an expert in their field. They're practicing. They have a shingle. They have a degree and doctor of chiropractic, medical doctor, doctor of osteopathic medicine, physical therapist, whatever. You're an expert in your field. Start acting like it. Start reaching out to people. Start you made a good point, Josh. These guys and gals graduate chiropractic school or medical school, they hang a shingle and just think magic happens. It's not always the case, especially for chiropractors. You got to go out there and take massive action daily to get patients and get clients.
You know, it reminds me of back in 2008, the best possible time to do so, I got a real estate license. And I thought
I'm not laughing at you, Josh. I'm laughing.
No, it's fine.
Timeline of your story.
I encourage you to laugh at me because I was so ignorant at the time. I didn't even know what was going on. And so I get my license, and the whole license exam is about how you can get sued, how you can lose your license, and some procedural things. But they didn't cover anything about how to actually run a business, how to do sales, how to go and get clients or anything like that. And so I got my license, my shingle, as you call it. I go out there and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to make a bunch of money, and nothing happened.
Yeah. It's not going to happen until you make it happen.
You have to go make it happen.
That's right. And Josh, I want to talk about two things. One of them is motivation. The other one is commitment. They really are mutually exclusive. And I'll tell you a story. We heard of this guy, Michael Jordan, kind of good at basketball in his heyday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michael Jordan shot 250 free throws before practice and stayed after practice and shot 250 more free throws. He was not always motivated to do that. In fact, he probably was never motivated to do it, but he had a championship commitment mindset. He had the mindset of a champion. So he was committed to do the things that most people will not do because they don't have that championship mindset. He was committed to doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
The commitment shows up when motivation wanes.
That's right. And it's one of those things that motivation will get you into the right mindset and say, you know what, this is definitely what I want to do. But commitment is what shows up when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like I did this morning, and that bed was really comfortable, but I had to go to the gym because I got to keep my routine going because I took 2 weeks off of it, and that was not cool. Like, yeah, the motivation wasn't enough to get me out of the bed, but the commitment was.
That's right. I just saw this short video with Tony Robbins. He was talking to Russell Brand, and Tony Robbins, he jumps in a cold plunge every morning, 40-degree water every single morning. He says, I'm never motivated to do it, ever. But I am committed. I don't negotiate with myself. I jump in that water. I don't think about it, because he's committed to doing that for the therapeutic benefits. But he also says, if you get in your head, you're dead. If you're thinking about all the reasons why you shouldn't do it or why you shouldn't, you're dead. He just is non-negotiable. He jumps in that water, and because he's committed to the benefits that cold plunging brings his body, his mind, and his soul.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I'm also really curious, kind of getting in your head. I'd like to get into your head for a moment, because
careful in there, John.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, like, I see that stuff in the corner, man, I'm gonna leave it, right? It's like, that
leave
door's
that
locked,
alone.
not gonna open
That's
it.
right.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about is, you work with doctors specifically with personal injury, and you have this perspective about, you talk to personal injury attorneys because they're outspending doctors like by a factor of 10, 15, 20 to 1, and doctors can't compete with that. And so you go straight to the source of where the injury is coming from. That's unique. I wonder if you could share a little bit about your perspective and how we might apply that, how you apply it to your practice, and how do we also apply it across other industries and other businesses?
Sure. The best analogy that I can give is, as a doctor, whether you're a chiropractor or a physician, and you want personal injury patients, let's just face the facts. The attorneys dominate the marketing. I mean, you drive down any interstate in the United States of America, and it's billboard after billboard. Are you injured? Get money for your case. And it's attorney. Google pay-per-click ads, Facebook ads, radio, TV, billboards. I mean, these guys dominate the airwaves, late night TV, during the day, during junk TV, all the judge shows. I don't even know who they are anymore. Some of them have $24 million annual marketing budgets, right? And a lot of the doctors can't compete with that. So the question is, how do we grow our personal injury business? So here's the key. These attorneys don't have anything without medical bills, documentation, and causation of an accident that was caused by somebody else. Without that, they don't have a case. So they're sending these injured clients somewhere. Why not to you, Dr. Chiropractor or Dr. Physician? Is because they don't know you. And if they do know you, maybe they don't know you take personal injury patients. So what I do in my program is I show you a 3-prong process. The first prong, or the first pillar, we'll call these the fundamentals of good PI marketing, is just have a social media plan. We're in a digital society now. Everyone is on that little magic rectangle 3-4 hours a day. They're staring at it. Some of it's work and some of it's distraction. Well, we're going to reach out to these attorneys on social media. We're going to get into their DMs, because there's no layer of people in between your message and their DM that's going to prevent them from seeing it. This type of marketing has a 90% open rate, where email marketing has a 15 to 20% open rate. So it's just a blue ocean strategy, right? Not a shark infested waters. Nobody's doing it. So I teach them a process. I tell them how many they can send. Here's a framework of what to say, how to frame the conversation. So that's the first fundamental, is have a social media plan, because in my program, my clients are reaching out to 500 to 1,000 attorneys a month. There are some doctors who've been practicing for 20 years, haven't met that many PI attorneys in their whole career. Okay, so that's the first one. Hey, I said massive action and consistency, Josh. I wasn't kidding.
Well, what I hear from that is volume, quantity. Sometimes John Lee Dumas had an interview where he was talking about this, Entrepreneurs on Fire. His guest said, quantity is better than quality. And it's controversial, right? And the idea was, well, if you're not that good at something, you got to go and do a bunch of it. And that goes right back to the first thing that you said about Michael Jordan. Well, Michael Jordan was probably pretty good at free throws, but he made it undeniable by making sure that he shot 500 of them, bookending his practice. And that's kind of the same thing where you're talking about here, which is, how do I just make up for the fact that maybe I'm not that great at connecting and communicating by just keeping going every single day consistently? Let's get that quantity out there.
Yeah. And by the way, that process is 30 minutes a day. It's not like you're sitting in front of these doctors are busy. They're not marketers. They're not sitting in front of their phone or their computer all day. They got to go take care of patients.
That's right.
But tell me who doesn't have 30 minutes to devote to the growth of their practice. I mean, if you don't have 30 minutes to devote to your practice a day, I don't know that you're going to be in practice very long.
That's true.
Unless you just have a lot of luck, or you're just in a magical place where it just, you hit a home run. But anyway, the first pillar is have a social media plan. The second part is I get these doctors to hire, train, coach, optimize, and track, and I do all that for them, a dedicated personal injury marketing liaison. So you have somebody whose sole purpose is to grow your personal injury business, walking into law firms, doctors' offices, urgent cares, and setting up Zoom calls and lunches for you to grow your business. That's their sole function. So I show you how to not only optimize them, but track them. You have to know how many people they're seeing a day, who are they talking to per day, what was said, what was the conversation like. So have a whole tracking mechanism so you are always aware of what your marketing liaison is doing. So that's how you scale to the next level, by having that human touch. Because here's the secret, Josh, these attorneys use marketing liaisons like they're quasi-employee. They'll just call the doctor's marketing liaison for anything that they need. Here, get these two patients scheduled. Let me know when you've done it. Hey, I need records on Mrs. Jones. Get them here by Friday. I need the whole package done. Like, they just use your marketing liaison like they're quasi-employees. So it makes it easier to do business with you. And then finally, Josh, go ahead.
Well, what I'm taking from this so far is quantity. Make sure you get enough in front of enough people, and then a personal touch, which makes it, just as you mentioned, easier for me to do business with you. We want to take away as many barriers as possible so that you can actually transact business with me.
That's exactly right. But the volume is important, because maybe you're in second place. Maybe that attorney has a guy he already loves and he's a mile down the road from you, and he just doesn't want to give up that relationship. Well, according to Zig Ziglar, Swimming with Sharks, I read that book like 20 years ago, first place messes up. First place can drop the ball. Yep. First place can piss somebody off. And then if you're in second place, you move up to first place. Okay. So in this process, a lot of people take action quickly. Attorneys are going to respond. Others, it may take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, but it's a process. It's not like a one-shot deal, right? It's a daily process of massive action. So, Josh, if you allow me, the third pillar is your communications with these attorneys, because these attorneys want to know, why should I send you my client? What are you going to do for my client that's going to benefit me? I know that you're trained. You're going to get my patient out of pain. We know the patients love your practice. It's boutique style, blah, blah, blah. That's great. But I have pain points too. How are you going to benefit me by sending my client to you? So I teach these doctors the value drivers for these PI cases. In other words, so not everyone on this podcast is a doctor, but if you're just a doctor that diagnoses like sprain strains and whiplash, the insurance company says sprain strains heal on their own. They don't really need chiropractic intervention. But if you have a value driver like, well, this was also complicated by unstable ligaments in the cervical spine or the neck that we can show objective evidence the way we take x-rays and we can show you. Or maybe the patient had a concussion, a mild traumatic brain injury. If a patient has a concussion, that really escalates the case to like top tier, because insurance companies aren't messing with brain injuries and head injuries. They are paying those bills.
Yeah. And so that kind of closing this out, the third part of this, the first one is volume. The second one is be easily accessible and take away the barriers. And then the third one is really understand the pain, for lack of a better explanation, but really understand the pain of the attorney, and also the opportunity for the client as well.
Right. And that's exactly what I was getting at. Most doctors explain to these attorneys the pain points of the patient. We get the patient out of pain. The patients love it here. We treat them like family. And that's great. Those address the patient's literal pain points. Yeah. But the attorneys, to your point, Josh, have pain points too. right? They need good documentation. They need good diagnoses. They're looking and listening for value drivers in their conversations with these doctors. Can you provide, are you trained to provide the diagnoses? Because if you miss them, this case has no value. But if you're trained to diagnose these things, those are value drivers for the case. And these things, ligament instability in the cervical spine, concussion protocol. Not every doctor is trained to do that. In other words, you have to know your point of differentiation. What's going to separate you and make you stand out amongst all the other doctors and chiropractors in your city going, hey, attorney, send me your PI cases, please, please.
Yeah.
Why? Give them a compelling reason. You better know your value drivers. And so that's what I train, and that's what I teach doctors to do, is when they have these conversations. Zoom calls are very popular now. Every attorney learned to Zoom. You don't have to take every attorney to lunch anymore. These doctors, they can do Zoom calls. I only eat lunch once a day, Josh, if I have time. But
Yeah, right.
how many Zoom calls could I do in a day with attorneys to grow my business? And the answer is more than one.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're talking more about volume. Do things more people, because eventually they're going to raise their hand and go, you know what, I need to work with you.
That's right. And
That's
so,
where consistency comes in.
and so how can people find out more about your service that you offer? Tell us a little bit about that. And how can people reach out to you directly?
Sure, Josh. So I have a website, primespineconsulting.com is my website. Prime like prime rib, spine like in your back, consulting.com. And on that website, you're going to see that I have several different programs to help doctors. I have an entry-level program where I just help them with some social media, reaching out to attorneys and doctors through your existing social media platforms, getting in conversations. I have another program where I teach you how to hire, train, coach, optimize, and track a dedicated personal injury marketing liaison. And I do bi-weekly coaching webinars with that. And we have a private group to interact with all the members and all my clients. And then for my top tier students, I have an optimum personal injury mastermind. So we have about 10 to 15 guys in this mastermind from all over the country. They come to Atlanta, my home city, and we mastermind for a weekend. And these doctors are taking away valuable action items that they can immediately implement in their practices on Monday, with a network of doctors from across the country that will help them by collaboration and cooperation, that they can help move faster in their business. That's the Optimum Personal Injury Mastermind.
Awesome. Love that. primespineconsulting.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, hey, we're going to wrap from here. Thank you so much to our guest, Dr. Mark Slater, for joining us and sharing some wisdom on how he gets stuff done. You can connect with him and learn more about his service at primespineconsulting.com. If you listen to us on your morning commute or your workout or out in the field, be sure to snap a selfie and tag me at JT Literally. Tell me what you do in the do zone. Also, if you're ready to break the seven-figure barrier with your business, but you know what got you here ain't going to get you there, then it's time to make some changes, and we can help. Go to iamfactor1.com now for a special message I made just for you on the exact changes you can make in less than 6 minutes. Know this, you are Factor One for your own success. Now, let's get to work.